experiential learning. That's one of the foundations of convened communities. So I want to talk to you today about what is experiential learning and why is this such an important concept. And the honest answer is that's how we learn in life. We learn through experience. And so I'm going to give you a simple scenario. All right. And I want you to all think back as we go through this scenario. And we're going to talk about learning how to drive a car, something that all of us have done. And so if you go back to when you were in driver's education, the first time you stepped in that car, you really didn't understand how, it was all going to work. The first time you got behind the wheel and you started driving, you were very cautious, very nervous. And the reason why you were is because you just didn't have experience in doing that. So, an example that I use when I go out and I speak at conferences and I'm talking about decision making, I'm talking about experiential learning, is this scenario. And I use myself as an example. Now, I've been driving for quite a long time. And then I have a daughter who I used this example a couple years ago when she was going through driver's education. And so we'll use myself and we'll use my daughter as an example. And so we're going to say that we're going down the highway. And when we're going down the highway, we're going at a speed of 70 miles an hour. And when we're going at the speed of 70 miles an hour, we pull up to a general area. And in that general area, there's something that happens. And we start to recognize what's going on around us. So the car light and the car in front of us puts on their brake and their brake light goes on and it goes off. And so, what are we going to do as experienced drivers? We're probably not going to slow down. We might take our foot off the gas. And if the brake light comes on and goes off, we're going to start looking around. We're going to see what's going on around us, see, what's up ahead of us. And we're just going to kind of continue to be a little bit more cautious at that moment. Now, my daughter, she's going to do the same thing, because she's been driving. She might put on the brakes a little bit. She might back off a little bit. But when the brake light goes on and the brake light goes off, we're going to continue to motor down the road. Okay. So let's change the situation a little bit. Let's say that now it's at night and let's say it's raining. So it's a kind of a different situation. All right. Now let's say we go up and we're driving behind that same situation. We're driving behind that car and that brake light comes on and it stays on. All right. So for us as the experienced driver, what are we going to do? Because we've been driving for a long time. We're going to look quickly left. We're going to look right. We're going to check both our side mirrors and we're going to look up in that rear view mirror and we're going to see what's going on and what's coming up behind us, and we're going to think about, well, okay, well, what's going on? Is there road construction ahead? Is there something stopped in front of that? What caused that car in front of us to stop? So this is all going to happen like rapidly. We're not even going to think about it. And that's because we've been driving for a long time. Now, what's my daughter going to do? My daughter's going to put the brakes on because that brake light came on and she's going to start to slow down rapidly. All right. And she's may look left, may look right to see if she can get out. But do you think she's going to check that rear view mirror? Probably not, because she doesn't have that experience yet. She hasn't been driving for that long. So that's why you see, a lot of people, and as an air medical pilot, I feel a lot of accidents where people got rear-ended and they just slam on brakes and that car behind them hits them because they just slow down. They're not even thinking about what's behind them. That's an example of experiential learning. The more we drive, the more we're in that situation, the more comfortable we get in that situation and we're able to make better decisions. Okay. So, with convene is designed with that same concept in life. As I would go out and I would speak at conferences, people would come up to me and they would say, "Hey, I know we were talking about decision making and experiential learning, but can I talk to you about my marriage? Can I talk to you about parenting?" And they would talk to me about all different types of topics because they were drawing off the message of experiential learning. But really what they wanted to do is they wanted to, learn. They wanted to ask questions. And so it's kind of like this. It's kind of like sitting around the table. And if I'm in a situation, let's say, let's say it's a relationship. We'll use that as an example. And if I'm in that situation, I might sit there and I say, "Hey, if you were in this situation in your relationship, how would you handle it?" Or if you're in this situation, with your kids and parenting, how would you handle it? Now, what am I doing there when I'm asking those questions? What I'm doing when I'm asking that questions is I'm asking for your advice. Now, when you give me that advice, what are you going to draw from? You're going to draw from your experiences, right? And you might say, "Hey, one time I was with, I had my kids and this is what happened and this is how I handled it." Now, that could be a good thing. Hey, this is how we handled it and it went perfect. Or it could be a bad thing. Oh, this is how we handled it and it went extremely wrong. And I wouldn't do that again. What I would do is, if I could do it over, is I would do this. Right. So how we learn in life is we have our experiences. We have those both good and those bad experiences and different situations. And we draw off that experience. Well, when you're talking about experiential learning and convene, this is a such an important concept that we have here with convene, is that when we put people in, again, that's why we don't call our classes or our courses or our syllabi, inside of that, we call them experiences. Technically it's a class or a module, whatever you want to call it, but we call them experiences because when I'm out and I'm teaching and I'm speaking in front of people, I take a concept and I tie that concept to a real life experience, right? So I can reinforce that. Convene is no different. For all of you who have content and have expertise in something, you're going to take that experience, you're going to take that knowledge, and you're going to tie it to something tangible, something that you can relate to, something that your audience can relate to. So, experiential learning is how we do it, right? Nobody's ever addressed this before, right? And so, what we are doing here at Convene is we are giving you that platform to take your experiences and share them with one another and allow people to participate. But when they're participating, they can write their answers anonymously, and their answers can be a part of that learning environment, that part of that give and take. So, again, when you're putting a concept out there, when you're teaching something, when people are answering the questions and I go in and read it, there might be 10 different answers there. And everybody who answered is drawing off of their experience, their life experience. So experiential learning is really how we learn when you get to adult learning theory and you talk through the process. It goes back to driving that car. The more you drive the car, the more experience you get. Doesn't mean that you might not have an accident along the way. All of us can have an accident, but we are able to avoid those accidents the better that we get and the more experience that we get, the more we've been driving. So you can apply that concept in anything, in relationships and marriages and coaching soccer and umpiring baseball. And I'm just throwing out some of the communities that are inside of Convene. There's so many communities that where people are bringing in. The other key thing is that now anybody and everybody can come in and they can add their experience. They can ask that question through writing experience. Hey, if you're battling with depression, for example, because there's a great experience in the hope and support community where people are asking, somebody is asking, hey, I battle with depression. If you were in my situation, in my shoes, how would you handle it? Now people have gone in there and answered, hey, I've been in your shoes and this is how I handled it, right? So they're drawing off their experience and therefore we have that shared learning platform. So the key example here and the thing that's so important, we are drawing off real life from real people and real experiences. And now there's a platform that finally is going to allow you to do that. So we're looking forward to you being a part of Convene Communities and just reach out to us. And we look forward to just making you part of the Convene family. Thank you.